There are just a few things you need to do to keep your Harman pellet insert looking good and operating at its peak. Every time you load pellets into the hopper, take the opportunity to scrape the burn pot. Do this by turning the stove to a number 1 setting on the stove or temperature dial and allow the fire to reduce in size. Protect yourself by wearing heat-resistant gloves. First, pull any ashes from in front of the fire and let them fall into the ash pan. Now, scrape the grate surface downward toward the auger. You don't want to scrape the fire out, just scrape under it. Any carbon deposits loosened at this time will be pushed out as new fuel is fed in. Tap on the burn pot a few times to clean ashes from the igniter element located beneath the grate surface. If the flame goes out during this process, close the door and let the fire get re-established. Reset your temperature dial after scraping to maintain your desired room temperature. Remove the ash pan and empty it. Close the ash pan door while emptying the ash pan. Keep the ashes in a closed metal container away from any combustible materials until the ash is completely cooled. The ash pan can also be emptied between cleanings while the stove's running. If you do this, turn the temperature dial to number 1 for about 30 minutes before emptying, so the ash pan is cooler to handle. Turn the dial back to your desired setting. After burning approximately 1 ton of pellets, a more thorough cleaning is required to keep your stove running as efficiently as possible. To do this, first shut down the stove. When the stove has completely cooled and stopped running, it's now safe to clean. This may take up to an hour. Scrape the burn pot and ensure that burn pot holes are free and clear of any debris or carbon. You can use a small piece of bent wire, an Allen wrench or similar tool to clean out the holes. Pay special attention to the lower corners next to the auger opening. Carbon deposits begin forming in this area. You may want to use a large flat screwdriver to remove all of the buildup. Scrape off and remove the flame guide for better access. Use a shop vac with a fine dust filter or ash vac to vacuum debris from this area. Clean the viewing glass. This should not be done while the stove is hot. Use a soft, non-synthetic cloth and either a vinegar and water mixture or a non-abrasive glass cleaner. Do not spray any liquids onto hot glass. Most times, just a dry cloth will work. Never use a hard or sharp object to scrape the glass. Access the burn pot cleanout cover through the front door. Open the burn pot cleanout cover by loosening the 2 thumb screws. Clean the fly ash out of the burn pot. Tap firmly on the grate to clean the igniter element. Use a shop vac with a fine dust filter or ash vac to vacuum debris from this area. Replace the cover when you're finished, and be sure the cleanout opening is sealed before tightening the thumb screws. In order to clean the flue, you will need to pull the insert out of the mounting frame. To do this, swing the cast iron doors outward and unlatch the spring latches. The insert can now be pulled out of the mounting frame. Take note, the insert is heavy and requires support when being pulled out. You can support it with 2x4s or the optional service rail kit. Entering the flue from the front of the mounting frame, clean the flue exit with a 3 or 4-inch flue brush. After the first ton, we recommend that you clean the entire venting system using the appropriate sized flue brushes. Experience will help you judge whether this needs to be done after every ton or more or less frequently. Next, we'll clean the feeder chamber. This chamber may get a buildup of fines from the feeder mechanism movement. Remove the feeder cover by loosening the wing nut. Slide the cover off of the threaded stud. Inspect and clean the inner chamber if necessary. It is typical to see pellets and fines in this area. Remove them with a vacuum. Reinstall the cover making certain it is centered on the feeder body, and tighten as tightly as you can by hand. The combustion blower is made to be removed easily for inspection and cleaning. The combustion blower is mounted on a precision-cut mounting plate. This plate is held in place with 3 thumb screws. To remove the combustion blower, turn the thumb screws counterclockwise approximately 5 turns. Rotate the entire assembly counterclockwise until the points of the retaining slots are visible. Remove the blower assembly with the fan blade by pulling it directly away from the blower housing. Using a paintbrush, clean the blower wheel. Be careful not to bend the fan blades. Use a shop vac with a fine dust filter or ash vac to vacuum debris from this area. With the blower assembly out, inspect the surfaces of the blower assembly and the housing opening where they meet. These surfaces must be clean and free from dirt, grit, fly ash, soot, or nicks in the metal. This seal relies on an extremely close tolerance. Therefore, anything other than a clean joint may cause exhaust gases and/or fly ash to escape. The assembly can only be reinstalled in one position, with the motor winding in the upward location. The mounting plate will not allow for any other position. Always make sure that the assembly is fully seated and the 3 thumb screws are tightened before operating the unit. Next, you will clean the heat exchanger tubes. Remove the cleanout cover on the combustion blower chamber. The right side tube is a straight passage to the combustion blower chamber. The left side tube follows straight back, then makes a right turn across the back to the combustion chamber. You will need to use the entire length of the cleaning brush until the brush is visible coming into the combustion blower chamber. Clean the heat exchanger with the scraper. Brush or scrape the inside of the stove to remove fly ash, which is a fine residue left over from burning. The debris will fall into the ash pan. Generally, after burning every ton of pellets, we recommend that you clean the entire venting system. Experience will help you judge whether this needs to be done after every ton or more or less frequently. The frequency of cleaning depends largely on the quality of the pellets. For your convenience, your local Harman dealer offers these professional maintenance services.